Welcome to the Gentle Rebellion, where overwhelm is optional. Hello. Welcome to the 200th episode. Woohoo! How exciting is that? So I'm celebrating, obviously. And as I do this, I'm going to invite you to celebrate yourself as well. So I'm celebrating me without concern for the fact that it might seem egotistical, because it's not. It's a nourishing practice, a filling my heart with joy, and a little bit of showing off, because you know what? I've just realised how much I've done in the last 4 years since, it's more than 4 years since the podcast started. And I think I know it's really enriching and important to celebrate that. So I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it as if I can do it, you can do it, see how nourishing it is for you. And what I also want to do is lay out my stall, so it's really clear for you to see what I've created, what's available to help you, and where you fit in. So people come in wanting free stuff, and sometimes that's plenty, and then other people want to work with me one-to-one and all the stuff in between. So it's really cool for you to just be able to see. So I'm laying out my stall. I'm going to describe briefly the Gentle Rebellion, the methodology that I've created over the last 4 years. And so a cool episode, I believe. A little bit more complicated for me than usual, because usually I just have notes on one piece of paper and I've got paper everywhere. So bear with me. So as I was preparing to record this yesterday, and then it didn't happen for lots of reasons, including my son's dog coming to stay, which is going okay, even though she's a border collie, and border collies, I don't know if you know border collies. I used to have border collies. I love them, but they don't believe other dogs are dogs. Other border collies, cool. Other dogs, not so cool. And she's even got a baby, my granddaughter who lives with her, and she's like, not so sure if this is a human yet. It's just the way border collies are. They're so funny. Anyway, Willow, the border collie, is doing snooty looks at my 3 cavaliers, and they're kind of a little bit wary, but mainly not, because it's their house. But she's not allowed upstairs, so you won't hear her on the podcast. You may hear the other 3 snore. That's okay. It's just part of the podcast. So that's why it didn't get recorded yesterday. Actually, it's not the only reason. I've got to admit I was procrastinating. It felt like a big deal. This was 200. It's a big opportunity. You've got to celebrate. You've got to do it right. Oh my goodness. So much overwhelm can be created just from the way we think. And also what I wanted to do was listen to the first ever episode and compare and contrast and see and really celebrate. So I wanted to make it a nourishing practice for me before I recorded, which is why I've slowed down recording. And it was really interesting. I say I wanted to listen to the first episode, but I really didn't. I thought I would look back in shame and think, oh my goodness, you didn't know what you were saying. You were so unconfident. Oh my goodness. I did not want to go and listen to that first episode. And then I listened to it and I was so surprised. First of all, I didn't realise that I started it in March 2020, right at the beginning, when the world went mad and everybody was scared, or a lot of us were scared. And also, I thought I started in April 2020. I don't understand how that happened. I'm really surprised. Really surprised at when I started it. So there's a lot of talk about lockdown, lots of miserable stuff, and me trying to be helpful, which I look back and think, oh my goodness, you just sound really kind and generous. So that was nice. But what really got me about the first episode was how confident I sounded. That really surprised me. I just assumed I would be more confident now, because I've done, 199 episodes, some guest podcasting, guest speaking, all sorts of stuff. And my business is way more successful than it was then. And I'm a much more confident businesswoman, coach, everything. But no, I sound confident. I like it. It was good. It's really good, actually, to hear my voice then and the, I don't know, just I was confident in what I was trying to do then. And now I'm confident in what I'm trying to do now. That doesn't mean I'm always feeling confident at each stage, because each time I reach for more, it can feel completely overwhelming in terms of imposter syndrome hits and everything again. But anyway, so that happened yesterday. I enjoyed listening to my first ever episode, but it was quite long. It's 55 minutes. So that really slowed down the recording of this podcast. And then another thing happened. Somebody kind, a podcast listener, sent me some really beautiful words that made me realize the impact of my work. I'm not going to mention who it was because it's always anonymous and personal, and I respect people's privacy. However, you know who you are. Thank you for sending this from the other side of the world. This is just a few of the words. Please keep doing what you do, Heidi. The resources you create really work so well. So this is somebody who was feeling overwhelmed, found my podcast, listened to the podcast, implemented the morning promise and the 1 minute mark, and has got themselves out of overwhelm. And I'm so pleased. That's an understatement. I'm so pleased. Woohoo! I'm so excited. How cool is that? That these days we can do stuff like this. We can just decide to set our, what do you call it? Like a compass thing that you click into place. Oh, never mind. Anyway, set our course, decide what we want, set a clear intention, and just go for it. And then magical stuff happens where it all ripples out and you wake up 5 or 6 years later to amazing emails saying that you've helped somebody. Woohoo! Here's to everybody who wants to do that, having the courage to do it, because it's a really beautiful thing. So that happened yesterday. I listened to my first episode and was surprised at how confident I sounded. And I had those very kind words. So that was lovely. And that's been really helpful in getting out of my own way to just record this episode. Also, I have a deadline. So, in the end, you just got to do it, right? I'm actually quite good with deadlines. I find them quite helpful. So this is what I want to talk about this time. I want to talk about what I'm celebrating about myself because it's a good practice and it models doing it. And I would encourage you to do it because it's deeply nourishing. Then I want to celebrate what I've created, what has become the gentle rebellion and how that happened. And then I'm just going to lay out all of the delicious things for you that I give or sell or offer. And then you can see what's in it for you. Because there's always something in it for you. Otherwise, what's the point of me talking to this microphone? I could just talk to myself. Anyway, let's do this. So what I'm celebrating about myself, courage, tenacity, and a gentle rebelliousness. It takes a lot of courage to coach. It takes a lot of courage to be coached. I took a while to really respect that because I felt, I was going to say intimidated, but mainly just irritated with what I was calling the coaching industry. And I could hear myself saying, I hate the coaching industry. Because as an entrepreneur, you're constantly bombarded, or I felt constantly bombarded by manipulative marketing messages. I also, like every entrepreneur I know, got what I feel was ripped off for thousands of pounds by different programs. Seems to be very common, but there's a gift in that. And the gift is, that's how I'm definitely not doing it. I mean, I was already a person of integrity, but now it's just made me realize this is what happens when you treat people in this way. This is what happens when you sell something and you don't deliver. This is what happens when you sell something and don't follow through and hold that energy and that person with love. So that's what I try not to do. Obviously, my intention is always to work with love and integrity. And that commitment is clearer because I feel like I've been treated without love and integrity. However, then I had to stop saying the words, I hate the coaching industry, because it's really unhelpful, because it's not true. It just is part of it. And you're always going to get parts of it. And also different things work for different people. So some of the things that I've invested in seem to have worked for other people. So that's okay. It just wasn't for me. And that's about me really listening and being confident to say no to things. But it's always the way, isn't it? When you're feeling like you really need something, you're more open to maybe not necessarily making a mistake, but it can be harder to work out, is this really for me? Because we can feel a bit desperate. I need help. This person's going to help me reach my people. Of course, I'm going to say yes, because I wanted to be of service. I wanted to be successful. now it's much easier for me to look at it and say, how much time and energy is that going to take? Not just money, how much time and energy? And is it making me feel, is it empowering me to be more me? Or does it make me feel like there's something wrong with me? Really important. So lots of gifts in being. I'm saying being ripped off, but I don't think that's the right way for me to talk about it. Feeling ripped off is different than being ripped off, because I don't actually think there was any intentional meaning to do that. I just think it wasn't the right decision for me. But was it the right decision for me because it's given me all these gifts? Who cares? It's over. It's happened. I don't have any resentment. Not anymore. I had to work through some stuff. Mainly shame having invested money in things that just didn't work. But hey ho, I'm okay now. I've learnt loads and I'm having that gold, thank you. So I'm celebrating courage of myself and all coaches and people who want to be coached. People who want to live with more freedom, more joy, more love, be more themselves. I'm celebrating that. I'm celebrating you. I'm celebrating us. So I'm definitely celebrating my courage to coach, to offer coaching, to be coached, to offer all of the things that I do and demonstrate being. That is a gift, of which I've been very fortunate to receive lots of kind words about recently. So thank you. You know who you are. It's really appreciated. Next, my tenacity. So I just keep going. Even when I feel like I've been kicked back, I've had disappointment, I have launches where nobody joins or one person joins or it doesn't feel like enough or don't feel like I've done enough. I just keep going. Up and down, up and down. Now, for those of you who are entrepreneurs, I'm sure you'll relate to this. There isn't definitely an entrepreneurial roller coaster. So it feels like if you gave up the stressful work, things would be easier because you could be your own boss. But most people are really bad bosses to themselves. And I had to actually write it into the very fabric of my business that I would not behave like a tyrannical boss to myself. So that's helped, but it doesn't mean I haven't had the emotional roller coaster of the normal questions when you have a personal brand where, you know, it's your face, it's your life, it's your being on the package. And all the questions come up like, who am I? Who am I to be doing this? And you can't answer them once. It's constant. And it's a good question. I mean, it's a Zen koan. It's a beautiful question. But it's not much fun when you don't know what's going on. And at the beginning, it just feels like this constant, I can't do that because I don't know what I'm doing. Nobody wants to hear from me. And dealing with that and having the tenacity to keep going regardless. I'm celebrating that in me. And you, if you're doing the same thing. And then my gentle rebelliousness. Now I was going to put my rebelliousness because I've always been a natural rebel and it's my rebelliousness that has got me to this point in my life. But actually I'm celebrating my gentle rebelliousness because that was the opposite to how I'd always been. I was always very feisty. It could be a little bit shouty or a lot shouty. You know, the wailing banshee would come out when I was tired and overwhelmed and stressed. Standing my ground, not understanding about boundaries, you know, more like kicking and screaming back off metaphorically rather than this is who I am, this is my boundary. So learning to be rebellious and stick up for myself and create a life that works for me gently has been absolutely fundamental for me. It's the opposite energy. It's about how can I do this with ease, with joy, with this solid groundedness. This is just who I am. This is what I expect. I expect to be treated with love and respect. I expect to have joyful, deeply satisfying, well-paid work without the traditional overwhelm and burnout. And it is that way of doing things that I'm celebrating in myself, for myself, and also because I walk my talk and that has become my business. Definitely celebrating my own personal gentle rebelliousness that has become my business, because how cool is that? So next, we're into my life, walking my talk. So I put into the fabric of my business that this time I would create success for myself a different way. But I didn't really know what that meant. I knew what it didn't mean, but I didn't know. It's quite difficult to imagine what it's going to turn out like. And that gentle rebellion, that walking my talk, because I had to, because I'm a person of integrity and I wrote it into my business, that I am so celebrating. How cool is that? It's very natural for me to say, well, I want to take a midweek mini adventure and take some time off, and then to hear but you ought to, should have been doing this, you haven't finished this, blah, 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 blah. Pressure, overwhelm, normal stuff, and then just go, yeah, but this is what I do. So there's no arguing. Ta-da! It's cool. It took a while, obviously, for me to really believe it was true. When there's no money coming in, you're like, really? Can I do this? Can't I just do the hard graft way? Isn't it it is easier at the beginning. It would have been easier just to overwork myself. But no way was I available for that kind of illness and unwellness again, and that madness. No, thank you. Then, having actually created deeply satisfying work. I've done it. I cannot tell you how deeply satisfying my work is. Doesn't mean I love every aspect of it. There are bits of it that I probably am getting ready to give to somebody else, but I'm not quite sure what that looks like. And that's an ongoing part of life, isn't it? And business is, what can I delegate? Who could do it in a way that would make it easier for me, not harder for me? Because I've tried it before. It doesn't always end up being easier. But I don't really care if there's a few things that I'm a bit like, because actually usually when I do them, I actually enjoy the lack of, what's the word? You know, like if you're doing something that's really important to you, it takes all of your being, and then you don't like doing the things that are a bit irritating, like, you know, day-to-day just stuff, like accounts. That's probably the easiest one, but it's not a very good example because there's lots of things like that. You know, like sorting out doing your GTD every week. You kind of think, oh, I've got to sort out my emails and set myself up for next week and finish things off. But actually, when you do it, you feel really good because it's not using the whole of your being. Because it's just like a by thing to do. And there's something, because it's a lighter thing, you're not so invested in it, you don't really care. You're not excited about doing it. It's kind of easier in a different way because you're more removed from it. So there's good things in doing those things. So anyway, mostly, like nearly all of my work is deeply satisfying, which is what I set out to create. Deeply satisfying, well-paid work without the traditional overwhelm, exhaustion and burnout. This is what I love. Coaching. Oh my goodness. I cannot tell you how much I love coaching. I'm in my element. It feels both easy and difficult. You know, that right amount of challenge and ease. I'm always upskilling. I'm always looking at how can I do this even better? How can I become even more skilled? How can I help this person even more? And that is delicious because that's right at that sweet point of deep satisfaction and constant learning. And the flow state is created by a combination of challenge and ease and things getting a little bit harder each time. And I have found a way to build that in because I'm always looking at how can I be better and better. So before each session, I'm setting the intention that may this be the best coaching session I've ever given. It just raises the bar each time. It's so exciting. And during coaching, I find it energizing and endlessly fascinating and just such a privilege. Honestly, it's amazing. It uses my natural gifts and skills and way of thinking. So I'm so glad that I've had the courage to go all in on it. So grateful. I'm so grateful to the people who have the courage to seek me out and say, can we work together? Just exploring that. So beautiful. Then there's group coaching within my community. It's fascinating to me, group coaching. And whenever I've been part of it, which is regularly in other communities, it's always an extraordinary thing that happens. The way people start to recognize themselves in the words of somebody else. So whether you're being coached or having the privilege of watching somebody else being coached, there's always these deep golden nuggets and truths and relief and resonance. And oh my goodness, it's a very magical thing, group coaching. I do love it. So that happens monthly inside my program, although it would be bi-monthly now because I've opened up to the next group. And then what else do I love? I love podcasting because it's such a beautiful medium. I've been involved in other talking mediums and it's still my favourite. And it's still my favourite to listen to because, especially when it's not edited, you know, when it's just like you're just listening in at a coffee shop, or you just happen to listen to people around you. It's just, there's something really, well, I guess it's the realness and the authenticity of it I like. And when I'm podcasting on my own, like now, I always find out stuff. And it's just such a beautiful way to reach people. So I'm really grateful for the medium of podcasting. And then also interviewing other people. Oh my goodness, so good. Because magic happens when you set the intention to create a gift. So each time I interview somebody, I set the intention, the very strong intention that we will create something really nourishing, really uplifting between us for you guys. And then just letting that happen and enabling that to happen, empowering that to happen is just beautiful. And I'm so grateful for every single person who's ever been on my podcast and all the future people. Just wow. And what was next? Yeah, so then the lifestyle that I have that I love, which is both supported by my work and supports my work. So it's just very symbiotic. So the whole fact that I get to work at home and my dog's here, 3 Cavaliers all lying on the bed next to me, asleep. Did you hear them snore? Maybe. That I love. I can't tell you how much I love that. I really, really do like that. It doesn't mean I don't ever go anywhere. It doesn't mean I never see people. But I would say most of my networking is now done online. And I get to hang out with the most extraordinary people. I look at my calendar and I'm just blown away by the Zoom cuppers, the networking, the collaborations, the podcast interviews. It's just amazing. Like the people I hang out with, whew, they're so cool. I love them. That's my day. It's so good. And then I get to write. I love to write, although I have found that it's more of an autumn-winter thing. So nothing new coming out at the moment. But I still write each week. I write the Gently Rebellious Read, my newsletter. I write that every week. I usually write something for social media. Not always, mostly. This week or last week, I wrote a lot of copy for the Gentle Rebel Community launch. That's quite intense when you do a launch. So you're really thinking about how can I reach people? And you have to reach people in lots of different ways because I know what it's like because I've been there. And how do I send the words from my heart to yours that will call you in and give you permission and courage and inspiration and hope to say yes to yourself and join the community? That's another deeply satisfying thing, although I find it challenging because in my head I can hear, are these the right words? You're not doing it right. But that's okay. That also is a gift for me to notice when I'm putting pressure on myself and to let that go. So I do get to write nearly every day, but I am looking forward to the autumn when I can get back to the book that I didn't release last year because it didn't feel right. I'm not going to release it until it's right. I think it will be something like the Gentle Rebel Handbook, but I'm not entirely sure because I will let it will start to take shape. I think it will probably start to take shape when I get back from America. So we're going to America for 3 weeks in the autumn. Woohoo! We're going to the Pacific Northwest. So that's Vancouver Island, Oregon, Washington State. So we're flying in and out of Seattle. We don't have any other plans. That's it. I have a cousin. And that's it. No plans. Don't want any plans yet. We will have to start making a menu. It's a road trip with huge trees. I do need to look up bears and how to survive bears, obviously. I want to see whales. I'd like to kayak. I'd like to walk a lot. What else? Waterfalls, hot springs, coast, sea, beach. Oh my goodness. So exciting. It's the first big adventure we've been on together for years. So I'm very excited about that. And when I get back, I expect there'll be writing because it always hits me in the autumn. Just start writing. So that would be fun. So that's nice to have that as part of my work. That's really cool. I love that. And then I'm also celebrating the overcoming of rip-offs, like I've said, the overcoming of disappointments, of learning to ride the financial roller coaster, particularly at the beginning with that deep financial insecurity when there's no regular pay packet coming in. That's super scary. That makes you question what you're doing. But there's gifts in that. And I have ridden that emotional, am I worthy? And I don't know, the guilt of not paying into the mortgage and all of the stuff of having to be supported by my partner, all of that stuff, very rich. And I'm celebrating that I have ridden that financial roller coaster and come up on top. By that, I don't just mean I have more money, which I do. I also mean the riding of the emotions of it. So the learning from it, the allowing myself to feel safe, to feel loved, to still believe in what I'm doing, to change my relationship with money, which is a very, very powerful thing to do. All of it, all of the things I've learned to even out that roller coaster, because the roller coaster doesn't actually go away. I mean, it's there anyway. If I was in a stable job, but I quit for health reasons, didn't expect that. We just taken on a huge mortgage. The roller coaster exists regardless. It's just more apparent when you go into business for yourself, as those of you who are in business know all too well. And what you gain from learning how to feel safe regardless, learning to value yourself regardless, learning how to manage money differently, and to be grateful for everything, to ground yourself is really hard but really powerful. And I often coach people with that now, which is also a gift. And then the overcoming of imposter syndrome, which pops up every time I want to do anything more, bigger, new. And then but the general overcoming, who am I to be doing this? So for example, the first podcast, the first newsletter, the first video on social media, all the first, and then the second and probably the 100th, but there's different degrees of that imposter syndrome. But the general, who am I to be doing this? Well, I'm Heidi, the gentle rebel coach, comfortable with that now. That's huge. Because when I first started saying that, I just thought, you sound like an idiot. Don't be silly. But I stuck with it because it's fun. It's a fun title, The Gentle Rebel Coach, and it works. And now it just is me, and that's nice. So I'm celebrating that about myself. Then I'm celebrating learning a gazillion new skills and the confidence that gives me. So I'm thinking about website building, email writing, all the things, tons of tech stuff that at 56, I really had no idea that I would be doing. And I'm really proud of that. And it's really cool. I'm really excited about that, actually. I think it keeps me younger. Yeah, I like it. So ChatGPT. Who knew? Who knew I'd be using that? I don't at the moment. I got bored. What am I using now? Buzzsprout, who hosts my podcast, they have their own little AI thing, which does a transcript automatically. I mean, it's not very accurate, but it's helpful. So I use that, but I don't use ChatGPT at the moment because I got a bit bored because I don't know. Ask it to do a picture and then say, you do realise humans don't have 6 fingers and 4 arms. Honestly. Anyway, so I'm celebrating that about myself. And the last thing I had was getting to meet and hang out with the kind of people I'd be really delighted to have coffee with, but I've already mentioned that. But goodness me, thank you to everyone who has a Zoom cuppa with me. So nice to hang out with you. And then let's move on. So I'm celebrating my work, my life, myself, my courage, tenacity, and gentle rebelliousness. And then that leads into the creation of the gentle rebellion. People say, where did it come from? Well, it just crept up on me. And right now I have absolutely no idea how it ended up being called that. I mean, I can kind of see it from the idea of the gentle rebelliousness rather than the fierce rebelliousness. But I'm not quite sure when it all came together. And then last winter, I sat down and literally pulled it together and wrote it out as the Gentle Rebel Way, which is a working document. It's a page on my website if you want to visit it, where I lay out it's not the bones of it. Well, I suppose it is the bones of it, but bones sounds a little bit sad and empty. It's the structure of it. It's the framework. And I'm really proud of that. So I would like to just go through that now. The gentle rebel way. You have a successful life, but it's really hard to hold together. You push your poor mind to think through overwhelm, your body to function through exhaustion, skidding to every weekend as if you've won a survival game. You're really good at spinning plates on spinning plates and putting your own needs last. You wonder if you just want too much. You daydream about living a simpler life. But the truth is you don't want to give up anything of the things you work so hard for. You just want your life to work for you. There is nothing wrong with you. You do not want too much. And you can have the life you've worked hard for, but you're going to have to do things differently. The traditional way of pushing on through works until it doesn't. It's time to rebel against that nonsense, but not too loudly and without causing any disruption that will only add to your overwhelm. It's time for the gentle rebel way. Old way versus the gentle rebel way. The old way. Overwhelm, exhaustion are just the price you pay to have a full life. You need to toughen up, get more organised and manage your stress better. Life is hard. Success requires sacrifice. New way, gentle rebel way. Overwhelm and exhaustion are useful course corrections. You need to get to know yourself better so you can make the life you have work better for you. Life is an adventure. You choose your adventure. So this is how. This is what gently rebelliously means. Gently but firmly. Without fuss. With minimum energy. I.e., tiny, huge. What's the smallest thing we can do to have the biggest impact? Secretly, without making any public declarations. Curiously, playfully, in your own time, in your own way. So I like to think of us as rebelling towards rather than against. However, it's worth looking at both. So if we say against overwhelm, that's not enough. We can increase it by saying against overwhelm towards clarity and focus. The ability to think straight and focus on what matters most to you. Against exhaustion towards energy and fitness. Against pressure towards freedom and ease. Against struggle towards adventure. Against forcing yourself into a superhero suit just to get through your impossible week, towards the freedom to be yourself. Against self-judgment, towards self-love. And then I have 4 steps. Step 1, commit yourself first to living your life your way. Some of you will recognise those words from the Morning Promise. Step 2, commit to developing a strong mind. Step 3, commit to developing a fit body. Step 4, commit to developing a courageous heart. Step 1, commit to yourself first to living your life your way. This involves self-awareness. You are unique. Get to know yourself better. Get curious about yourself. This is all about you. There is no one way. There's only your way. Drop the self-judgment, the comparison to others, the shoulds, the oughts and the musts. Practice self-acceptance. Develop self-love. Become your own biggest cheerleader. Accept full responsibility for your life and making it work for you. Now that might sound a bit harsh, doesn't it, when we say accept full responsibility? But the thing is, if you're blaming other people and everything else, you lose your power. When you get to know yourself, when you practice self-awareness, getting curious about what's going on for yourself, using everything as useful information and not judging yourself and not judging others or comparing yourself to others, that allows the practice of self-acceptance. And from there, you can start to love yourself, becoming your own biggest cheerleader, being on your own side. And from there, you are empowered to start making the tiny, huge changes which allow you to have the life that works for you. But this is an ongoing process. All of these are, and they all work together. So I think of it as a spiral. You revisit things over and over again. You get a bit more gold, and then you let more go, and then you just find more and more freedom to be yourself. So we're not aiming to get better. We're just letting go of the junk that's in our way. The stuff that used to work, we let it go with gratitude because it worked then until it didn't. And now we want to look at things differently. So it's just an ongoing process of letting go, finding more freedom. Step 2, commit to developing a strong mind. We need to support our minds because without a strong mind, everything's really hard, right? When the mind's completely overwhelmed and you're under lots of pressure, it's really hard to think straight. If you can't think straight, everything's harder. So the commitment to developing a strong mind is essential. No more pushing through overwhelm. Now, that doesn't mean you're just going to one day go through, I'm done with overwhelm and then everything's easy. It's just an ongoing, I'm overwhelmed. What can I do about it? It's a practice of getting out of overwhelm first, of just saying it's not for me. There's an easier way. And the easier way is always to deal with the overwhelm first. Learn to nourish your mind. What nourishes your mind? What eases your mind? What makes you feel better? What takes the pressure off instead of putting the pressure on? And some of that will be letting stuff go. A lot of it will just be letting stuff go, as opposed to doing more. And this is really important because we can get stuck in self-care hell, can't we? Where the self-care just adds to our overwhelm. So it tends not to be what you do, but more how you do it. So for example, take meditation. Great for your mind. Unless there's another pressure, rubbish. Another thing to fail at, rubbish. Have you tried using meditation to support you and relieve your stress? Not great. Whereas allowing meditative states or setting aside time to reset using the 1 minute mark, that kind of thing, making it part of your life, making it supportive, it's different. Stop overloading your mind. Really important. Outsource stuff. Don't keep stuff in your mind. This is why I practice GTD, because my mind is not for storing stuff in. It's all outsourced to my systems. And also most of the stuff we're overloading our mind with doesn't need to be there. So part of it will be carrying rehearsal of lists, but part of it will also be the shoulds, the oughts, the musts, the stuff we're beating ourselves up with, the rehearsing of past and present conversations. So just becoming aware of what you're holding in your mind is really helpful, even without trying to change that, just knowing it, which is part of self-acceptance and self-knowledge. Stop taking the mind for granted. This is really important. It needs support. It's not good at being in charge. It's just not. It's based on a reactive emotional system, and it easily finds everything that's wrong. So not taking it for granted by not overloading it, by not putting it in charge, by allowing the heart and the body to weigh in on the conversations, really helpful. So looking after your mind on purpose. Learn what supports your mind and what doesn't. Learn to look after your nervous system. When you learn how to look after your nervous system, so allowing it to reset regularly, whether that is through restful practices, things like yoga nidra or non-sleep deep rest, or the 1 minute mark, or any of my other audios, we're just allowing the nervous system to reset. Or even when we're not doing that, just noticing what's setting the nervous system. Notice when it's activated. Overwhelmed, your biggest sign. Nervous system stuck in high alert, useless. Allow it to reset. And step 3, commit to developing a fit body. Now, this was the hardest one for me to write because it sounds so controversial, but the truth is, when we feel well, oh my goodness, isn't life easier and better and more joyful? It's so important. And yet it also just becomes another pressure, another thing. Oh, I'm too fat. I'm too sluggish. I don't have enough energy. I should be more muscly. I should be exercising more. Oh my goodness. So there's definitely not that. Definitely not that, obviously, because that wouldn't be gently rebellious, would it? Accept responsibility for your health. So it's your body, your health. Be on your own damn side. It took me 56 years to realise that my number one job was to look after myself. Goodness me. Obviously it is, but I don't think we're taught that. I wasn't taught the importance of looking after myself. Fortunately, I geeked out on nutrition, so I did, in general, look after myself. But I still burnt out and imploded my life and destroyed my health. So, hey-ho, what works for you at this point in your life? So one of the things that added to my burnout was being told or believing or listening to the well-meaning advice to do more exercise to relieve stress. But when you're burnt out, it's not necessarily true. Only you know. It would leave me utterly exhausted and then feeling like a failure and feeling worse. What's wrong with me? Why can't I go for a run after work to de-stress when other people can? We're not doing any that. None of that. None of that beating ourselves out, putting more pressure on. Prioritise learning how to look after yourself properly instead. Just prioritise learning how to look after yourself properly. What do I need to feel well at this point in my life, at this moment in time, at this season in my life, this day, during this heavy work period, whatever it is? What do I need to look after myself properly? And we do that by starting to listen to the body. What's the body telling you? Are you thirsty? Are you tired? Have you been holding your neck in one position for hours? Have you been staring at a screen? Do your eyes hurt? Do you just need to look into the distance or close your eyes for a moment? Listening to the body. The body has so much wisdom to share with us, from just basic stuff like thirst, hunger, rest, movement, need for laughter. Treat it with love and respect. We hear this all the time, don't we? We've only got one body, but honestly, we can be a little bit taking for granted of our bodies, can't we? I know I can. Eat what nourishes you. Food can make a huge difference. We know this. How many people do I know who have gut issues but refuse to stop eating gluten or even try it? Whereas it's a really common issue. I mean, I'm with you. I spent years doing it. But once I discovered and took it more seriously, such relief, so good. I'm not saying everyone's gluten intolerant, by the way, and I'm certainly not telling you what to eat. I'm just stating that part of the gentle rebellion is to eat what nourishes you more. Not like only. No, gentle rebellion. I choose to eat what nourishes me, which will partly be what's delicious, and sometimes it's what's easy, and sometimes it's eating with others. Nourishes is a lot of different things, isn't it? Rest before you become exhausted. There was a saying on Instagram from somebody, something like, instead of asking, have I done enough to rest? Ask, have I rested enough to do? I like that. I know it's a tricky one, but I do like it. Sleep. I caught up with Kelly Meyerson again this week. I'm going to be on her podcast soon called the Mystic Nerd Podcast. Yes, I think it's called Mystic Nerd Podcast. And she came on this podcast, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago to talk about sleep. And she's a sleep expert. So that just reminded me of her. She's lovely. Sleep. Move. I always say, when you add must exercise more, go swimming, go for a walk, take up cycling again, get a badminton net, that kind of thing. Whereas actually we could just move, like literally right now, stretch your arms in the air, fidget, get up, walk around. Like we make such a big deal over it, don't we? Just move. Like you need to move, just move. I'm a big fan of fidgeting or going to the garden and just swirling. Laugh, play and have fun. Big part of developing a fit body. Laugh, play and have fun. There's the gentle rebellious way of doing it. Step 4, commit to developing a courageous heart. Courage lives in the heart. Allowing the heart to be courageous allows it to be fuller, because that's what it's for. And we can do this by reconnecting to our hearts. So our hearts have much to tell us, which gets squished while we're busy getting things done. Connecting to the heart allows us to really tune into what actually fulfills us, what actually brings us more joy. Very exciting to discover that later in your life, that actually all the time was this inner guidance, which some of us are better than others at paying attention to. So it's an invitation to reconnect with your heart, to let it weigh in on the conversation, gently, rebelliously. Notice what fills it. Now, this is a funny one because not everybody seems to be able to do this easily. I have some clients who say, yeah, I have no idea at all. Can't feel anything. So I just keep inviting them to notice until they do. And sometimes people feel it in different ways, and that's okay, because that's the point, right? The point of the gentle rebellion is there are no rules, as in This isn't a rigid structure. It's an invitation to focus on yourself and to create a life that works better for you, with more joy, more space, more clarity, more ease, more energy, more of all the stuff that you want, that you're working really hard for, going around in circles. Find an easier way. Notice what makes your heart feel heavy. This is often easier. We really notice when we feel like we've been punched in the chest by something. Own what you really want. We've been talking inside the Gentle Rebel community this week. Somebody had a question because I put in gently rebellious reminders, usually about once a week, sometimes more. And I put one in about inviting the use of intention. So I find the use of intention increasingly helpful. But somebody said, I've been trying to get this and I really don't get it. And I love that kind of question because first of all, it's honest. That's really important. You need honesty within a community. And to have honesty, you need safety. And that's what I really love about the Gentle Rebel community. It's a well-held space with intention, because I intend for it to be. And I hold that space so people can be themselves and say, I really don't understand that. And it's a good practice. It enables the general practicing of the things that we shoved down because of different reasons, towards feelings towards insecurity and not wanting to look like idiots. Imposter syndrome. One of those is to be able to say, yeah, I don't get that. Can you explain it another way? It's a brilliant thing to do. It's such a strength to be able to do that. So it's a really welcome question. And also I like it because it makes me think, how am I communicating this? What is it that's not making sense? So at the moment, I'm still thinking about it. What do I mean when I say set an intention? But part of it is by setting an intention, you have to own what you really want. You have to say, this is what I really want, not just what I think I can have. So for example, before recording this podcast, I said, may this be easy, because I was procrastinating. It was getting really hard. And so my intention is that it's a really powerful episode, but it's not really hard work because that I have the wrong energy. It needs to feel full of ease. It needs to be a celebration, which should be easy and joyful, while also communicating clearly without it feeling stilted and scripted. Can you see there's a lot in that? So my intention is that it's easy, because what I mean behind that is I want to create something valuable in a gently rebellious way. So by setting the intention, I'm having to own that. No, I want this to be a really good episode. I don't want it to just be done because it's Friday and I'm a bit late recording this week. I want it to be really good. I want it to be valuable. I want it to be inspiring. I want people to hear my words and just feel space for them, relief. Oh, thank goodness it's not just me. Oh, that's a great idea. Oh, I'm going to try that. That's what I want from podcasts. So the owning what you really want is really powerful, because it makes you up level to, but it's not really what I wanted. What I really wanted was this, but I didn't think I could have it. And that's a heartfelt thing. So one of the practices that we use inside the Gentle Rebel community is to identify our heartfelt priorities. So we did a really powerful workshop at the beginning of the year, the turn of the year, which people are still talking about, still resonating with, where I held space for the looking back at the previous year, the taking stock of where you are, and then the imagining in the new year, and identifying heartfelt priorities as opposed to the pressured priorities, the things you ought to get done. Looking at the why behind that matters. So it's not that we don't want to get things done that are there, sitting there, that need to be done. It's looking at the why. What will it give me? So that there's joy in the doing of it. Plus the things that we don't normally say we want. So it allows for more expansion. And dropping into the heart and asking the heart is really powerful. So identifying your heartfelt priorities. So this is really connecting to the heart and make it useful. It's a useful skill. Knowing your values. Now, values are a weird one, because most people seem to have done some sort of test where, or at least in the entrepreneurial world, it's very common to be asked, what are your values? And it's always felt a bit to me like you just pick them from a list. In fact, I've had that exercise. Pick your values from this list of 30 values. And that doesn't make any sense to me. Whereas if you listen to stories, your values will come up. And if you drop into the heart, you'll know which ones really resonate. So my number one value is freedom. And I didn't know that. And then I can look back at my life and see why this happened and that happened, and the contradictions and the fighting against myself, because I need to feel free. I need free. Freedom's absolutely fundamental to me. Now, you say, well, it's fundamental to every human, but maybe I could decide it is for them, but not everybody's seeking it. It's just not true. People are different. Some people want security. And I personally don't believe that security and freedom are in opposition. I think they're the same thing. When I feel secure, I feel free. When I have financial security and can take good care of myself, and I have health security, as in I feel well, I'm looking after myself, then I feel freer because I have the energy to do what I want to do. I can look after myself. I have some autonomy and control. So, don't know, what are your top values? The easiest way I know to find out is to look at the stories, look back over your life. We will be getting D. Grant Smith back on the podcast. I'm hoping that he might delve into storytelling more in this aspect, but we'll see. I'm about to do a business project with him as his client to look at storytelling for my business, which will be really, really interesting because he doesn't do things in the normal way. So the normal storytelling for business is identify your core brand story and then you retell it, or several ones. And that's, mine would be the burnout story, I guess. But he goes deeper than that. He's looking at the story below the story, and that brings up values. So anyway, knowing your values, your heartfelt values. And lastly, learn how to speak up for yourself. It's really important. And that's the courage of the heart to just say, that's not for me. This is what I want. This is what I believe. This is just who I am. So that was the 4 steps. Commit yourself first to living your life your way. Commit to developing a strong mind, a fit body, and a courageous heart, because that supports the living of your life your way. It's just the fundamental, both the navigation system, mind, body, heart working together, and the looking after them, looking after yourself, loving yourself, so that you can live your life your way fully. You're not struggling because there's something wrong with you. You're struggling because the life you've created doesn't work for you. Overloading your mind, treating your body as an inconvenience, and ignoring the wisdom of your heart, that's the old way of doing things. To have the full life you want to lead, you need all of you functioning highly, mind, body, and heart. Finding freedom from that well-worn, overwhelm exhaustion path can be your journey to finding the freedom to be more fully yourself. The gentle rebel way is to make finding the freedom to be more yourself into your greatest adventure. All those irritating symptoms of overwhelm become useful course corrections to help you create the life you intended to live, one you feel at home in, that suits you down to the ground. I love, love, love how the Gentle Rebel Way document ends there. Always gives me tingles. Woohoo! Right, so lastly in this episode, I want to celebrate and set out my shop of all the things I've created. So not all these things are available anymore. Some of them have disappeared. But I'm going to show you how things have developed with more and more courage. So I'm celebrating all the offers I've created over the last 5 or so years. From workshops to webinars to videos to speaking engagements to, for example, I had a 3-part Turn of the Year series, which was a live 3-part workshop where we got together, we gathered around the fire online, but in my living room. And that was called Live 2021 on Purpose. Some of you might have been there. That was really good. I guess that's what's morphed into what we did in the Gentle Rebel community at the turn of this year. So to the first course. So my first course was in 2019 and that was called Overwhelm to Ease. That's now discontinued. That was a 4-week video course that eventually up-leveled into what I consider a much better 7-day audio course. That is available now. I highly recommend that because it's brilliant, personally. It's just because I've poured so much into it, but made it really short, which takes quite a lot of work, doesn't it? I like that. So here's some words that somebody sent me this week, which I want to share with you. What a powerful course. It's tiny, less than 15 minutes needed for you for only 7 days, but it's mighty. As a busy mother of 2 young children and a solopreneur, I've got so much out of this course. I found my centre each time I listen to the audio, and I keep coming back to the tools over and over again, way after I completed it. Thank you for this gift, Heidi. And then she contacted me again and said, I forgot to write that your voice is soothing and you're really funny, which makes it really nice to listen to. So that was lovely. Thank you for sending that testimonial in. So I'm celebrating that course, which is still available. Then after the Overwhelm to Ease course, I then created the Overwhelm to Ease membership just after I launched the podcast, actually. So that was 2020. And that was a membership where people paid monthly and we did workshops and coaching. That was really cool. And then that eventually became Get Your Life Back, which is my signature program. That ran 3 times. That was a intense 12-week group coaching to get your life back, and it worked. And then 9 months of support. So cool. That ran 3 times, and one of the people said it was the best decision ever. How cool is that? So that was really cool. Must run that again. It's on my list, just at the back of my mind. Then there's another course which is still out there called Time for You. Create more time for yourself without having to bargain for it, let anyone down or disrupt your work. That's available, actually, still. There was Rebellious Self-Care. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I think it's now available on YouTube for free. I'm not sure. Go check it out. Then eventually the Gentle Rebel community was formed. So that was last October with Founder Rebels, where we get together each month for a workshop which sets a theme for the month. And then halfway through the month, everybody's scooped up with group coaching. And I've just at the end of the second launch for that, where we've got non-founder members, so just Gentle Rebel members coming in. So that's really cool. Oh, and before I forget, I also want to celebrate a hilarious, slightly embarrassing, but hilarious series of videos I did a few years ago where I sat in the garden and just kept changing hats. Oh, so funny. And I think there were like 20 different ones. And it was a series of really short videos called It's Not You, It's Overwhelm. And they were on Instagram, and now they're YouTube shorts. They're quite funny, but I'm celebrating those. I'm celebrating my audacity to do something so silly. That was fun. What else am I celebrating? Oh, the Gently Rebellious Read, the newsletter I launched this year. Very proud of that. That comes out every Sunday. People are liking that. Thank you for letting me know. What else? Oh, my book, which was out in paperback and Kindle a couple of years ago. And it's on my list to do a hardback version. And here's why. The book is designed to sit next to your bed, and you could just have 1 sentence a day, because it only takes half an hour to read, because I removed all superfluous words, and it's just the sentences you would highlight or pull out and stick on a post-it note. So it's really unoverwhelming to read because it creates space because of the space in it. So I think a hardback version, smaller and green, which is my branding, whereas the paperback's purple, which I love, but in my head I see this small green book. So that's an autumn project. Then the audio version, which I did record, but it failed the audio tests for Amazon. So my brilliant sound engineer brother-in-law has helped me, and basically I just need to re-record. He couldn't rescue the audio, so apologies if you were waiting for that. That's on the list. That's coming. Guest podcasting. That's one of my projects for August, is guest podcasting, because it's fun, right? It's nice to be asked questions. I was on the Mike King show, radio, ESPN radio, a few weeks ago, and the questions were so good for me. So I think I'm going to do that. Then there's the Gentle Rebel Handbook, or whatever my next book's called. That's coming. So I'm celebrating future events here. I'm celebrating the community continuing to expand. It's very small I don't want it huge, but I do want to keep letting the right people in, even if it's just one at a time, because I love the community. One-to-one coaching, I also want to celebrate my one-to-one coaching because it is one of my favourite things to do in the whole world, as I described earlier. And I just want to reflect on how that's changed. So it's got better and better and better, to the extent that often I offer coaching packages which are fortnightly instead of weekly. Sometimes, just depends on the person, what their needs are. All my coaching packages are bespoke. They're always designed with the person. It's always an invitation to co-create what works and what the purpose is. So it's always a clear, it's like a project of up-leveling. So what is it you want and how can we get you there? What's going to work for you? So that's changed. So sometimes there's 3 months, 6 months, a year, bespoke project. The breakthrough, the Overwhelm sessions, I'm going to relaunch those because they're really powerful. And I think I'd underestimated how good they are, because I really like doing deep transformation over time. I kind of thought, well, one-off ones, is it worth it? But recently I've done quite a few of those and I've been absolutely astounded. So they're 60 minutes, but I've had people often 40 minutes in go, well, I think I'm done. That was amazing. So I'm going to relaunch those because actually they're a lot of fun. Because some people just want that and that's enough. In fact, it's exactly what they need. So I'm really looking at that again. I'm increasingly doing business coaching, which I'm really, really loving because I love business. The supporting of new coaches. So there might be in the pipeline getting together a group of relatively new coaches because I look at that differently. And it would be deeply transformational, but fun and lighthearted and supportive and not expensive, because I'm really tired of the whole coaches investing thousands when they don't have it. So this would be low cost at the beginning, and then, you know, if people you have to meet people where I try to meet people where they are. It just depends. But this would be an experiment. So the first one would be cheaper because it would be a beta. So that might be fun. That might be coming. I've always have so many things going, but I'm celebrating the ideas, even if they don't all come true. I'm increasingly working with more men, which is really fun. It's different. Not always different. Lots of it's the same, but that I'm really welcoming that. That's nice. And in general, I'm just really grateful for every one-to-one client I have, because it is my favourite thing to do. It takes so much courage to be coached, and I just love it because it works. It works so well. It even works better than I imagine it's going to work. And I hold very high expectations of results. I always hold and imagine way more than the client comes to me for, because why not? And oh my goodness, I love it so much. I'm so grateful to be a coach. And I'm especially grateful to be Heidi Marke, the Gentle Rebel Coach. Woohoo! Celebrating me, celebrating you. That's some of the many things I offer, from free. Oh, we didn't celebrate the free stuff. The 1 minute mark. That's been out there for years. It's brilliant. It works. 1 minute. Get out of overwhelm. Reset your nervous system. Loads of other stuff, which I won't mention because it's not designed to do anything. Because you try hard and are doing all the time. Go to my website to get that for free. The Gently Rebellious read. Beautiful gift in your inbox every Sunday. This podcast, I'm celebrating you. The Overwhelm is Optional podcast. Thank you for coming into being. What else do I offer for free? Can't remember now. Oh, I guess, well, yeah, loads of stuff. Like, maybe I'll do some more workshops. I quite fancy doing some more workshops, webinars, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, I think I might do some more of those. Anyway, anything you want, just write in. Let me know. They've put a text message thing in Buzzsprout, which you can use if you want. So it should be under the podcast. What else? I think that's it. If you can think of anything else. Do you know what? I'm going to ask you for something. As it's the 200th episode, ta-da! So you've had 200 episodes for free. Thank you for being here. Please leave a review. I never do that please leave a review thing because it irritates me. But the truth is, if you leave reviews, people see them and say, this must be worth listening to. And it is. So that's what I would ask for you. Please help me celebrate this being the 200th episode by leaving a review. And if you can't leave a review, because I think you can only leave them on Apple. Can you leave them on Spotify? I don't know. Anyway, if you can leave a review, please leave a review. It would mean so much to me. I'm determined that we reach more people because it works. This stuff works. People need it. Let's let people be happier by finding it. If you can't leave a review or send it to someone, talk about it, please help me make the audience bigger, or what's the word? Reach more people. Thank you so much. I'm celebrating you for being here with me. And I invite you to do what I've just done and celebrate the last 4 years of you, of what you love about yourself, what you've created, your courage and tenacity, and your love and integrity, and your ability to laugh. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I'm celebrating the 200th episode of the Overwhelm is Optional podcast. For more resources to help you gently rebel, please visit my website www.heidimark.co.uk.